The multi-million-dollar field of GT cars assembled on the straight here at the fantastic home of horsepower in Melbourne, Sandown International Motor Raceway. I'm Darren Smith. Matt Koch, who is one of the lucky guys in Australian motorsport that gets to travel around and represent GT wherever they go racing right throughout the year. Matt, a great run yesterday for GTs, and it just continues to grow from strength to strength as we see the car that ran Sans Bonnet in qualifying. Welcome to Sunday for Shannons Nats.
Morning, Des. Morning, everyone. Great to be back here at Sandown. We had a fabulous race yesterday evening. We saw Dale Patterson a little bit earlier in the day, running, as you say, without a bonnet in qualifying, and super quick was that big Chevy Camaro as well, the quickest of anyone in the middle sector of this circuit. So here we go. This is race 2 of the weekend, a 3-part weekend for Australian GT.
And there's the green, and we do. The Big Merc gets the power down. The McLaren sitting right in behind. Fraser Ross will go with him, as does the Audi. We're going 3 wide there as Glenn Wood carves it up between Jai Robson's going to be right down the inside there in the Audi. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And Glenn Wood has to subside there as we see Jai Robson command that bit of track there. But gee, the REX Lambo getting some respect there on the way through. Stephen Richards saying, righto, well, let's go with the Lambo. KFC car in there. Liam Talbot's been squeezed down there as well. So the field getting away nicely. We see Peter Hackett leading them out of there, but Glenn Wood is absolutely all over the back of the Audi in front of him. Too sure who it was, but he is pushing hard in that all-black, menacing, raging bull Lamborghini.
That was Glenn Wood on the back of Jai Robson as they came out onto the back straight. That Lamborghini menacing the Audi. Aussie driver's search entry. What a phenomenal start. 3 wide down into turn 1. Keeping it clean. The big loser out of that has been Liam Talbot. Started in 4th. He slipped back to 8th on this opening lap. Out front, it is Peter Hackett from Fraser Ross, who's made another good start. He had a good one yesterday.
I think Liam Talbot played the percentages there. He saw what was about to happen down at turn 1. It could have been the world's biggest melee going on down there. He may have just eased up just to see what was settling down. The problem was everyone else was well committed to their own line, and the charge down the long straight here. The multi-million-dollar field, the Australian GT Championship. Who would have thought the aging Lamborghini Gallardo would be in the top 5 this early on? Probably us.
Well, this is a circuit that absolutely plays to the strengths of the Lamborghini REX, the latest version, the last version of the Gallardo in GT3 spec. It's super slippery aerodynamically. It's got lots of power. It does lag a little bit under brakes compared to some of the newer cars, but around here, the home of horsepower, it's absolutely putting those ponies to good use. Out front, though, it's Peter Hackett from Fraser Ross, 1st and 2nd. So then Jeff Emery, the brand new side, on the outside of the front row. A little bit of a gap now starting to form back to Glenn Wood, who's in 4th place. He's managed to get by on Jai Robson. So we see Fraser Ross have a little bit of a nibble at the back of Peter Hackett. Now, these two are resuming battle from race 1. They had a ding-dong in the second half of yesterday evening's race, locked together, a little more than a cigarette paper between the two for much of that race. Peter Hackett eventually emerged victorious. So Glenn Wood just got a little bit squirrely on the exit curve as they apply the power down this long front straight.
The number 23 KFC car just holding a few up behind. Matt Stupas. We saw last year Matt Stupas involved in a big shunt at Queensland Raceway in qualifying. He's come back into the national scene now with the Trophy Series and doing a pretty strong job. He's got Griffo behind him, Tony Quinn in 12th. So Tony started just inside the 10. He's lost a couple of spots, and I would suggest again, due to that opening lap melee, saw what was happening in front of him. 9 times out of 10 it would have been contact with carbon fibre everywhere. So I guess just being a victim of his own caution. And I think at the end of 40 minutes, we'll see how both those cars, both Liam Talbot and of Tony Quinn, how they managed to come back. Gee, Fraser Ross now all over the back of Peter Hackett, the most successful driver in the Australian GT Championship, Peter Hackett. And that is some strong news coming out of his career. He's always battled to keep the package. Fraser Ross down the inside, makes it stick. In fact, I think Peter Hackett said, you want it that bad, mate. We've got a fairly long race ahead of us. I'll open it up for you and we'll sort it out later on. Pushing hard from behind now. Peter Hackett logs in behind the McLaren. I mean, some time since we've seen a McLaren lead a race here at
Replay of the move. The McLaren's so good under brakes. Moves to the inside. Later on the brakes as Fraser Ross takes the high road. Mounts the curb on the way, and that leaves him a little bit offline for the left-hander. Gives Peter Hackett a run, who Tempted to have a little bit of a nibble back down into turn 1. Didn't get the job done. Fraser Ross now some couple of tenths clear as the freight train behind starts to form. In there we've got Jeff Emery, Glenn Wood, Jai Robson, Steve Richards not too far back. He's also the KMC Audi, which is doing a stellar job there of Tony Bates. Liam Talbot is now still in 8th place, the championship leader, hanging on to the back of this leading pack. 8 cars covered by a little more than 3.5 seconds at this early stage of the race.
Jan Ginadassa just holding out St John Morris there in the black and orange Porsche GT3R. As we look now to this battle with Tony Bates down the inside, Tony Quinn down the inside. 23 car of Matt Stupas does it nicely. So McLaren's on the move now, out in front and into the 10 now with Tony Quinn. He's relegated Mark Griffiths, and he's also relegated, here it is again. Looks to the inside of Stupas. Last minute decision, and boy, wasn't it a strong move. Made the decision he was going to do it and just drove straight down the inside there. Stupas had absolutely no answer. He was committed to that high entry into Dandenong Road.
Yeah, really good move there from Tony Quinn, who's been a specialist around Sandown, race winner here many times over in his career, as we watch Glenn Wood and Jeff Emery start to wind up their battle a little bit further back. Victor Zagami in the Audi R8 LMS GT4, the first time that car has ever run in Australia. A little bit further back again is the number 48 KTM Crossbow in the GT4 class, currently running 26th on the road.
Just on that, with the success that the Audi R8s have had in GT3, I think it's going to be the first of many GT4 R8s coming in there. Bit of social media going on there with Brett Bolton from Friday in the background there. Richard Crail just showing some crowd early on yesterday during the start of the production car race. And here's a little bit from Griffo down there with a bit of hashtag Shannons Nats. And Dave Hewson there. So back to racing down the main straight there. So that lead of Fraser Ross has eased out to 1.5 seconds now. And Peter Hackett, it appears as though he's starting to get a bit of the battle pack bank up behind him at the moment, because Fraser's gone through, and there's the REX into P3, so he's dispatched with Jai Robson and Jeff Emery in the last minute or so. So Peter Hackett won't like this. He started his GT racing career in a black Lamborghini. Not quite like this one. It was one of the big old dinosaurs, the V12 6.3 litre V12 that he raced at the Diablo right back in the day with Rusty French.
Yep.
And with Sam Newman running in the GTR was Peter Hackett, and the SVR was Sam Newman and then Rusty French, just getting the GT4 car there, the number 48, out of the way there as they go through on Vince Tresorio and getting through there. So the GT4 is finding a happy home amongst the field with the trophy cars as well here this weekend, and GT4 is dispatched internationally as well.
Yeah, Liam Talbot now beginning to buy into the back end of Tony Bates. Pulls out, it's a little bit too far back this time to have a look through. Liam Talbot, one of his ultimate strengths in a race car is his ability under brakes. Really good feel for the brake pedal up front. It is Fraser Ross from Peter Hackett, who's now under the attentions of Glenn Wood, two of the most powerful, fastest cars in a straight line, going toe-to-toe now.
It's interesting, particularly for you and I yesterday, wasn't it, during the short time between qualifying sessions, the Walkinshaw crew going to work on the 911 down there, and just had the manual out from the Porsche racing factory as to what adjustments to make to get the car to go. So we saw them flattening out the rear wing, and yes, Liam Talbot went faster. And I'm wondering if they've stayed with that. Yeah, the rear wing doesn't look like it's got much attack on it. And I bet it's about now, when you're mixed up in traffic, that he'd probably like a little bit more rear wing just to cement the back of the car down through that left-hander at the top of the hill. So Glenn Wood now onto the back of Peter Hackett. Could this be a change? There's the number 55, Janetta, 55.
It's Colby Callum and Mark Kane in that car finding their way off the road. They'll engage the GPS. Meanwhile, Glenn Wood puts a move up the inside of Peter Hackett, who doesn't defend too much. Glenn Wood not in the championship battle as Peter Hackett is, so Glenn Wood takes over in second place now, sets off in pursuit of race leader Fraser Ross, who's got a 1.7 second advantage at this point. He will reach pit stops reasonably soon. The window has been changed ever so slightly thanks to the aborted start, so we'll keep an eye out for when that happens. Here is a replay of the number 55, Ginetto, Mark Kane at the wheel of that, just getting it wrong down into turn 1. Easy to do, Daz.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big, long braking run down into turn 1 there, and if you haven't picked your mark right, you're going to end up off in the dirt there. There is the traditional Sandown layout. The track used to go about another 80 metres further down, almost to the train line that runs along the bottom of the property here, and that was actually the pit lane that where the track goes now. So if you get it wrong, you go spearing off out into the grass out there, and it's very, very wet. So that will be a cold set of Pirellis that he spent the best part of the last 7 laps getting to the nice operating temperature, which will be absolutely quenched. The brains trust from Zagami there. Cam McConville on the phone to Victor, and just calling the shots there as well. We're good to see Victor jumping in with a GT4 and getting some support there from long-time racer Cam McConville.
Yeah, he was on the radio there to Victor Zagami. I'm hearing over race radio that car 12 doesn't sound like it's got any radio. The team asking for permission to get the old school pit board out to signal their man into the lane when it's time for his stop. Those communications in a race like this are so crucial, particularly when we see things like safety cars and things. Do you pit? Do you not pit? And yesterday's race so slippery out there. Do you stay on slicks? Do you move to wets? Critical decisions that need to be made on the fly. As you see a little bit further back, the battle between the 147 Dave Stevens Ferrari 458 GT3, Rio Nagari in the 188 Audi R8 LMS, and 222 of Scott Taylor in the Mercedes AMG GT3. The 188 car, great to see that out there, because just seconds before these cars rolled out onto the grid, the firebomb in the car went off, so the car was covered in the extinguisher powder inside that car. The Audi Sport Customer Racing Australia team scrambling to get that one cleaned up. Great to see the car out there. Rio Nagara, one of the promising young rising stars, I guess you'd call him, of the Trophy Series. And to see Victor Zagami get lapped. Scott Taylor trying to get his nose up the inside of Rio Nagara at the same time. Good opportunity working through traffic. In fact, Taylor now does have a look up the inside of Nagara, who sees him coming, leaves the door open. Those two battling on track, although in different classes. Coming up on traffic, though, you do have to be the opportunist to get through there. We just saw John Morris try and get through on Dale Patterson, and it was just the 6 litres of the Camaro getting its power down to the ground that he drove away from the Porsche. Probably one of the only opportunities that you'll drive away from John Morris and the GT3R. One of the best men.
Quite suited. One of the interesting things here is that this battle with Jai Robson and Jeff Emery, I guess the young and up-and-coming Aussie driver search racer against the wily veteran who's just about driven everything in the Australian motorsport landscape. Commodore Cup champion and drove Development Series. He's driven the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge, and Jeff Emery now finding a really good home down there at the Audi Customer Sport team at the Melbourne Performance Centre with the Valvoline Jamac Pem racing team. And he's just gelled very nicely with them, hasn't he? Yeah, he's really got on well with that Audi R8 LMS. An accomplished racer before he stepped into an Australian GT car. Ever since, he's gone from strength to strength, carries the one on the door after winning last year's Australian GT Championship. So, victory sealed here at Sandown over Liam Talbot, who's just dropped off the back of this group a little bit. He has found a way through on Tony Bates, so it's moved up into 7th. We are watching the battle between Jeff Emery and Jai Robson. Audi versus Audi, 2 cars out of the Audi Sport Racing Australia stable. Just maintaining watching brief a little bit further back is Steve Richards, as we see. Just watching that, the not so subtle, brightly coloured number 100 just lurking slightly in the background there. And I guess it's his responsibility now to work onto the back of these guys and apply some of the Richards magic, as we've known him to do with multiple Bathurst wins. Here we go with Tony Quinn and Mark Griffith, a couple of veteran racers. There's not a lot that these guys haven't done in the world of motorsport. So we're looking now for the compulsory pit stop window, not too far away from opening. And there'll be plenty of action going on down there in the tight Sandown pit lane. When we looked at the magnificent facility at Tailem Bend and how the pit lane layout there, we get to some of these older tracks now, they just seem to be a tight, congested place, don't they?
Let's remember, this was once world class. It hosted the World Endurance Championship back in 1984. Yep. Stefan Beloff was here that day. Legend of the time. Out front, though, we are watching Peter Haggett, currently in 3rd place, puts KTM a lap down, as Fraser Ross a little bit further up the road also works through traffic. He's lost out to Glenwood here. He's now in second place by some distance. Something's happened that we've not picked up here for Fraser Ross. Just looking at split times this lap look okay. So I wonder if last lap he's made a mistake, got caught out in traffic perhaps. Glenwood has moved through. Now heads this race to number 49 Lamborghini from the 59 McLaren and then the 63 Peter Hackett Mercedes AMG, as we do get confirmation that the pit window is now open. Every one of these cars will have to come in and serve a compulsory pit stop. We'll even hand the car over to co-drivers.
Just been watching Peter Hackett sort of off the side of this battle that we're watching with these two Audi drivers there. He's driving the car very, very straight. He's not using the ripple strips. In fact, the only ripple strip I've seen he use is off to driver's right, which everyone goes over on the run down to Sandown Road. So he's very deliberately driving this car. He's not even going up on the turn 4 ripple strip, exiting there. So I wonder if he's just trying to keep the car neat and tidy and just driving without hurting anything on the car there, or if he's really just pointing it in the direction of where it needs to go. Here he is in the background of that shot there as we go through. Race leader, a little bit of understeer on the REX there, coming out in all of its black glory. Classic car restorations emblazoned across the front of the car there as well. And I dare say in years to come, the Lamborghini REX will be a classic car well worth restoring. One of the most beautiful race cars ever taken to a racetrack, the Ferrari. And even though it's not in the red, gee, it looks good in the black and bright yellow.
Flurry of activity now in pit lane. Fraser Ross has taken to it. So too Peter Hackett, Jeff Emery and Jai Robson. So everyone after our race leader, of the first 5 runners on track, have taken to the lane.
John Morris exiting the lane now in the Motorsport leasing Porsche.
He was impressively quick on Friday, wasn't he, in the wet conditions. Man with huge amounts of experience around this circuit.
Yeah, the Morris brothers, they know their way around here. They've got like a scale electric track thing that they just hook onto.
Yeah. Just plug in the guide and away they go.
Yeah, when they laid the track all those years ago, they were here putting a little electric line.
Steve Richards and Liam Talbot now together out on track. This is the battle for second on the road, but they are a little bit further back on the road. By the time the pit stops shake out, they're going to be a little way back.
So those watching the Camaro, it's been pushed back into garage. Greg Rust has reported from pit lane that they're experiencing heat problems or water cooling problems, and they'll go to work on that car and we'll keep you abreast of what's going on there for Dale Patterson.
Liam Talbot now takes to the lane. It's just that he thinks he might be able to run a little bit quicker than Steve Richards, so he pulls out from behind the BMW, takes his medicine now. There is the 63 Mercedes AMG GT3 of Peter Hackett. Number 63 car, he had a stationary time of 62 seconds. Liam Talbot, the 911, he's got a stationary time of 53. So that'll close a little bit. I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Liam Talbot leap ahead of Peter Hackett once this all shakes out. It's going to take a couple of laps. Glenwood, for the moment, continues to lead. Hasn't yet taken his compulsory stop. Steve Richards in second place and Tony Bates. Nick Kelly in trophy class doing an impressive job as he's done all year. So we see the Walkinshaw GT3 guys checking pressures on the 911 GT3R as we look at 911 GT3 Cup car of the Seidler pairing.
Kevin there working on the car. Been around the motorsport for a long time, Kev. Looks like he's nice pair of old desert boots on there, just going very casually about things here this weekend. New Zealander has worked on many race cars, supercars all the way down through there. So Kev just pushing the driver back in the car. They're gently as, like watching it on that. Get in. We've only got a couple of seconds to get this done.
It is difficult to get in and out of these cars. I jumped into the KTM on Friday, and it's quite an exercise getting up and over the roll bar and in under the roll cage. It's difficult because I've got the side impact protection. And some of these guys,
and it makes it even more complicated with the clamshell lid that comes
absolutely,
off.
Yeah. So some of these guys have got shorter stops that need to do driver changes. They almost don't have enough time. So it does make it very, very important to make sure you do your driver change nice and cleanly. Tony Bates now in the lane. We're looking at the G55 Ginetta of Mark Kane and Colby Callum. Mark Griffith has also now taken the white Mercedes AMG GT3 out front. Glenwood, Steve Richards, Scott Taylor yet to serve their compulsory stops. Scott Taylor running third on track at the moment, so a little bit further back, having had some dramas in yesterday's race. Failed to finish that one. Rio Nagara also into pit lane as We see a lot of the field now serve their compulsory stops. In fact, the front three yet to take the lane. So,
hey, Russell on the radio there to Rio Nagara calling him into the lane there. That's a good experience space to have in your corner.
Top two in the lane now as well. Glenwood and Steve Richards. We look at the 222, the Mercedes-AMG GT3 of Scott Taylor. Behind him, the Lamborghini Huracan of Jim Manoli's, the Trofeo Motorsport entry. Great to see Jim and the crew out there.
Certainly is the Trofeo Estate, Whispering Vines business emblazoned off the rear quarters there, just down in Dramana on the beautiful Mornington Peninsula. Not too far from here, probably only a 45-minute drive. You could be down there. Oh, contact with
between
McLaren.
The two McLarens, yeah. So Fraser Ross there, a little bit impatient, just misjudged exactly where the front of his car is, because you can't see that in these cars. It slopes away from you quite dramatically. That's allowed Liam Talbot right up onto the back now of Fraser Ross. They head down towards Dandenong Road. Here is a replay. Tony Quinn has just been balked in behind the Enzabella Porsche. Fraser Ross thought he saw a gap, that wedge closed.
It's all for position too. All these cars lining up. This is all for track and race position. So Tony's not going to give this up easily, even if he's got a bit of Morse code being rattled off on the back of his McLaren from Fraser Ross's McLaren. These guys are all actually racing for spots. So Tony Quinn has got them all lined up. Ross, Talbot, Griffith, Emery, Robson, Stupas off the back there. He streams on past the Zagami GT4.
Trying to get a little bit of side draft. Yeah, this is position. This is, what have we got here? 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Even back to Jeff Emery there. They're all 4 position, 2 wide down into turn 1. Fraser Ross just tucks back in. This is going to give Liam Talbot a little bit of a look as they go into turn 2. The patchwork quilt, the surface changes so dramatically. Easy to lock a brake, run wide.
Liam Talbot on the flashes there. Little Le Mans flashing lights. I'm on to you. I've got you, Fraser.
One of the strongest overtakers in the field as well as Liam Talbot. Hot Wheels Car Care Products, Porsche menacing the Total Opticoat McLaren. These two not strangers to one another.
I get the feeling this is going to end in tears.
This is really starting to heat up, isn't it? Fabulous racing now.
Here.
We've got 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th running in a line. 5 cars. We've got 2 McLarens, an Audi, a Porsche and a Mercedes, all locked in this 5-car battle. Out front, Glenwood continues to lead. He's handed that car over to Dean Koutsamides. Tony Bates is in second. How's this, Nick Kelly?
Look at Fraser Ross down the inside again. He did that manoeuvre on Peter Hackett early doors in this race. The McLaren gets through that time around, so get the feeling down the end of this straight here. Liam Talbot is rapid in the straight line. He's going to range up onto the back of Tony Quinn.
Here's a replay of the move.
Orange McLaren
has a look up the inside. Really good, decisive move up over the curb. Perhaps used a little bit more of it than he'd have really liked, but we've got a spin. Tony Quinn's gone. That's Glenn. Dean Koutsamides has gone as well down there. I wonder if there's a little bit of oil. We're seeing 2 cars pirouetting in quick succession. Tony Quinn's running in 5th place. He's just speared off the road down there at turn 1.
Didn't let me down, did they?
No.
I said it was tears at the bottom of the main straight. Unfortunately, Tony Quinn was the one that speared off down there. He did that a few years ago, in fact, in his Aston, and that was when Jim Manolis arrived in the Ferrari, and they had a coming together there. And at the time, that Ferrari was owned by Tony Quinn.
Yeah, 2-for-1 deal, that one.
Wasn't it?
So Tony Bates is our race leader here. Magnificent job from Tony to keep it clean in the first part of this race, use the pit stops to emerge out front. So we have washed the field. This is how, have a look at the rear wing on that Audi vibrate. There was contact there.
A knock, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wow. That's as close as you like.
Glenn Wood did a ripping job getting that car up to the front, and there it is. Saw the car strewn across there. There would have been yellow flags out there too, so that could have a double whammy, what was going on there with those guys.
Yeah, probably.
Here we have it
there. Sorry, go on.
John Morris, he's going through in the older Porsche as well. Battling an African Trophy Series, which is being led by Nick Kelly at the moment in the Audi.
And not just being led by Nick Kelly, but being led by Nick Kelly in second place overall in this race. Fabulous job from the number 99.
Peter Hackett, very slow through turn 1 that time. He only just made the corner, so maybe there is an issue with Peter Hackett's Mercedes. Currently down in 9th.
Yeah, they did have a longer stationary time, didn't they? So they dropped down the order a little bit. So we've got 14 minutes, or a little bit over 14 minutes remaining. Tony Bates out front by 7 seconds from Nick Kelly, who's running some really respectable lap times. Super impressive job from the industry Audi R8 LMS Ultra, one of the oldest spec machines. He's the lead lead Trophy Series competitors by 7 places. Matt Stupas back in 8th overall. So fabulous job from Nick Kelly. We're watching the battle between the 222 and the 100. Scott Taylor in the 222. The 100 has been handed over to European Le Mans race winner Ricky Capo, known in Australian GT circles for driving the BMW Z4 GT3 back in 2016. Fabulous under brakes is Ricky Capo. Slides the big BMW out of the final corner.
The other thing that's a great battle that Ricky Capo stayed with John Collins for an entire season in the Australian Formula 3 Championship there as well, and came down to a battle at Wakefield Park at the end of that season. And that's where they went. On the flashes is Nick Kelly now.
He's battle for second place.
Why would I not? Because he's got Fraser Ross ranging on him. And Liam Talbot's on the flashes as well, just letting the Seidler car know, hey guys, I'll let us through here, Chris.
Yeah, so Fraser Ross makes that move, stick at the top of the hill. Not too much point in Nick Kelly defending that one. They're battling, but they're not battling for positions. Liam Talbot puts a move on the Seidler Group Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. Something a lap down now, clears the way for the Porsche to attack the Audi. Jeff Emery also makes his way through. So this one's just broken up a little bit. Fraser Ross has skipped clear. We've got Nick Kelly, Liam Talbot and Jeff Emery in close proximity. So still got a really good battle pack out here. Tony Bates, meanwhile, extending his lead to 8.8 seconds out front. 12.5 minutes remaining. You would think he's in a pretty handy position at this point, but I just wonder, was there any damage to the rear wing on that Audi when he skipped through the spinning Dean Koutsoumides? Koutsoumides, meanwhile, has dropped down to 13th place. Dave Stevens in the Camaro, who rejoined, having had temperature issues in that car, has headed back into the lane as well.
Fraser Ross has really got this McLaren trucking very nicely today. So certainly didn't look to be going to weigh in on it at the start of this weekend on Friday in practice. But Liam Talbot now driving very well, executes a straight line pass on Kelly, and Jeff Emery in the number 1 now. He's on the flashes as well, letting the car that he shares a garage with. I wouldn't particularly say teammates, but they're certainly coming out of the Audi Customer Sport shed.
We'll call them stable mates.
Let's call them that.
Stable
That's exactly
mates,
what they are, stable mates.
Not too sure.
As we are transmitting from the Vo Rogue room here, talking about stables.
I'm not sure once they're on track there's plenty about them though. They get the red mist and they go racing. Everyone out there is a rival. Doesn't matter what brand of car you are driving. We do have Audi versus Audi heading down into turn 1. Nick Kelly in the Trophy Series car opens the door, allows Jeff Emery through. Again, not much point putting up a battle there. They're together on track, but racing in different classes. Nick Kelly slips back to 5th place on the road.
Mark Griffiths is driving a strong race here. He's mixing it up with these guys. Currently 6th on the road. And you get the feeling that that Mercedes is faring a fair bit better than Peter Hackett at the moment. Peter's just eased right out of the pace at the moment. Currently sitting back there in 8th in the Corplex AMG. But as you touched on earlier before we started this race, Matt, Peter Hackett, the most successful driver in the Australian GT Championship in the Corplex AMG today. That's a pretty interesting stat.
Yep, 18 race wins across all competitions, 17 in the Australian GT Championship specifically. So it's a really good record that Peter Hackett does have. In terms of race wins in the Australian GT Championship, he's tied with David Wall and the late great Alan Simonson. Meanwhile, Ricky Capo is getting a good look of everyone coming through turns 2 and 3. Unfortunately, it's not in the mirror. He's pointing the wrong direction.
And the yellow flag is only about 20 metres before that, albeit it's a second gear corner. Oh, now he's strewn across the track.
So we have to work with the officials now to find a gap in traffic to get that car in reverse. So we see second place, Fraser Ross around the back of him. So that number 100 BMW now a lap down. Uncharacteristic spin from Ricky. Safe pair of hands. Typically hugely experienced. Now he gets that BMW into reverse, plucks first gear, and he should be away. Almost picks up the Matt Stupas Audi as he rejoins. Hopefully nothing came of that. So number 100 drops down to 19th. He's running up a little bit higher than that early on, engaged in that battle in the early stages of this race. But how's this man? The number 99 Audi R8 LMS Ultra, an older spec GT3 car running in Trophy Series. He was running second on the road, won outright pace. He's drifted a little bit further back now as the championship cars catch back up after the pit stop sequence. But fabulous drive from Nick Kelly. Can't chalk up his stocks enough. Left round 1 at Albert Park with maximum points. That's pole position in both qualifying sessions and 4 race wins from that weekend. Maximum points from Nick Kelly entering this one. Currently leads the trophy series by a considerable margin out front of the championship class. So Fraser Ross currently in 2nd place. If the race were to end as they are, Fraser Ross would move into 3rd in the championship. Liam Talbot would be on 512 points. Peter Hackett on 444. Fraser Ross on 443. So it's all getting very, very close. Tony Bates is starting to give up a little bit of his lead. Had 8 seconds at one point. It's now been reeled back into 5.4. Liam Talbot some 2.8 seconds adrift, or 3 seconds adrift of Fraser Ross as well, as we look at Dean Koutsoumides in the former race-leading Lamborghini.
Now down outside the 10 in 12th there. And, wow, John Morris getting a little bit radical with it and leaving a pretty cool number 11 on the exit of turn 4 there.
I think that was more a number 55, the way the back end got shaken around, as John Unidasa looks for the old bit of track.
Yeah, certainly that'd be the part of the track there. There'd be ghosts of tracks past underneath him, that's for sure. Gee, I'll tell you what, Paul Morris obviously looking for an entry in the Summer Nats at Canberra in the Porsche, the way he laid rubber down there. He'd certainly be one of the first 911s to be laying rubber at the Summer Nats, that's for sure.
So Tony Bates continues to lead from Fraser Ross. He's just working his way through a little bit of traffic, rejoining.
Oh, Jeddah,
yeah, he's got a right rear puncture. Right rear puncture. That's probably what's sending him off the road down there.
Or
turn 1.
Or did he go off the road and picked up some debris whilst down there?
Yeah, he's going to need to slow down, because that's going to destroy it. So you can already see it delaminating. You have to really slow that car down.
Jan Unidasa had one of the... Oh, there's a bit of inner guard coming out there. Jan Unidasa had one of the coolest problems with a car that I've ever heard of here at Sandown. A stone came up on the inner guard, landed on top of the coil pack, and shorted the coil pack out. Absolutely some of the worst luck you would ever hear of.
It's happened twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why he's got inner guards in it now, and he's just ripped it out again.
So Jan Unidasa has come to a halt on the back straight. He's off to driver's left, well out of the firing line, you would think. However, we don't tend to leave cars out there. This is a replay of Victor Zagami having a spin at the final turn. The Audi R8 LMS GT4, fabulous looking car. It is. And the ever-growing GT4 Class 5 cars started this weekend. Unfortunately, lost the David Crampton car.
Tremendous number 2, number 16. That's because it was my number.
Did you used to drive, did you?
Yes, I did. Had some success around here, mate.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Right.
Have a look at this here. Hackett trying to return fine. Now gets through on Nick Kelly. That's actually for position. That is now 7th for Peter Hackett, and he's now starting to get a little bit more aggressive with it there at the moment. So he goes back to 7th. He'll have Griffo up the road from him, a fair way up the road too for him. So it's Bates leading Fraser Ross, Liam Talbot, Jeff Emery in the number 1, Jai Robson in the Aussie Drive Search car. Then it is Mark Griffith. Nick Kelly has relinquished that spot to Peter Hackett now. Matt Stupas in the mix there as well. Then it's got Taylor, Rianagaro, and there's contact.
A little bit of how's your father?
Absolutely out of turn 4, and that's helped Peter Hackett's charge onto the back of Mark Griffith in the Hog's Breath Cafe. Daimler Trucks Newcastle outfit. Gee, you want to be a bit careful there, Peter Hackett, driving the Mercedes Oils car up against the Daimler Trucks outfit. That's pretty close.
This is the battle for 6th place Mercedes AMGs in this squabble a little bit further back. Nick Kelly doing a fantastic job. Just keeping half an ear out on race radio as well, just to see what race officials choose to do with the Jan Unidasa car. So we see Peter Hackett have a look up the inside of Mark Griffith. So race radio just reporting that they're acknowledging the 77 car, Jan Unidasa, is stopped on the back straight, and they're going to leave that car there until the end of this race. Only some 4.5 minutes left, so we're not going to go safety car, we're not going to go full course yellow. We're going to go green flag to the finish. And here is the move that Mark Griffith made on the Cobb Mark Kane Ginetta G55. Just had to prop in the middle of the corner, and that's just caught the Ginetta out. Momentum, just a little bit of contact to the back end of the car. Interestingly enough, Mark Griffith owns both of those cars. So we look at the 911 Hot Wheels Car Care Products Porsche 911 GT3R is in the background. Jeff Emery decides to do a little bit of speedway action, gets that Audi into a 4-wheel drift out of the final corner.
This is what Jeff Emery has in his kit bag. he digs deep and he goes, you know, in a Commodore Cup car, I would have just gassed it up and got sideways out of here. I'll use that one.
Bit of left hand down and more right foot. That's the way to get around that one.
We're going to use the horsepower out of this corner. We're not going to finesse it around. We'll finesse it around the next corner, but this time it's going to be loud pedal. Let's solve the problem.
That is our race leader, the 24 KFC Audi R8 LMS, flashing the headlights, warning the traffic ahead that he is coming. He is currently 5.2 seconds up the road from second placed Fraser Ross. That gap's staying more or less stationary.
Tony Bates is a happy winner too.
Yeah, he's
you know
got
for miles around.
Yeah.
You know for miles around when Tony Bates wins a race. Even podiums, actually. He's a very happy racer.
Known to celebrate wildly.
That's exactly right.
Is Tony Bates.
Home track here too.
Yep.
That's for sure. He's got another home track car just in front. That is Jim Manolis in the magnificent-looking Huracan. The Hemokinesis blood outfit. Quite interesting. I saw that name and I Googled it, and you can spend hours having a look at what they do with
fascinating stuff,
blood separation. Yeah, absolutely. I'm no professor or scientist, but it's well worth the look.
And some of the stuff they do, actually, Lamborghini produces some of the medical equipment that they make. So it's
some amazing technologies.
Tony Bates putting a lap on Jim Manolis, the man behind that Hemokinesis blood systems program.
Of course, also the Pirelli Motorsport distributor here for Australia as well, and doing a really strong job in that business as well. Fraser Ross is putting his arm out the window, saying hi. G'day, Fraser. How are you, mate?
I suspect that was a thank you very much for letting me pass so quickly and easily. I appreciate your help.
And another wave out the window from the Ferrari as well. That looks like it's got a bit of damage on the front splitter as it flaps up the top of the hill there.
So Fraser Ross currently in second place, 5.9 seconds off the back. He's fallen now 1.2 seconds ahead of Liam Talbot, who's now got the Ferrari to deal with. I suspect the 147 car will just move aside. Dave Stevens just get in the way of Liam Talbot. So second and third, not too far apart. Just under 2 minutes left now in this 40-minute race. I think Jeff Emery's not too far away either there.
Importantly, this battle with Liam Talbot and Jeff Emery, last year's two protagonists right to the end of the season now. This split, Jeff Emery really needs to be the one in front now to start to bring some points back his way.
Yeah,
Liam Talbot just up the road.
Yeah, he's currently in control of the championship as Liam Talbot. Fraser Ross is going to edge into that gap a little bit, but Jeff Emery really needs to start clawing back some points quite quickly. He's now tucked up behind Dave Stevens. Doesn't get his way through on 2 and 4. Should be able to make the move stick down the long back straight here. You see in the top left corner of the window, they've got an illuminated number. That's their position in class. Different colour for the different classes as well to help us distinguish between them. The windscreen of Liam Talbot's car, I should say number 3, position 3 in this race, as we look at number 23, Matt Stupas, Audi R8 LMS Ultra, a little bit further back, running 9th, second in trophy class. And out front,
just looking down to the start-finish line, it looks as though the rostrum there, they're getting a little bit edgy to get the checkered flag out. The leader has gone through, so this will be the final lap, you would have to suspect. The beautiful long straight here at Sandown. Green grass on either side of the track as far as you can see. Wedged here in the southeast of Melbourne between the suburbs of Dandenong and Springvale. Great facility that we've enjoyed for so many years here.
Tony Bates race radio confirms he is on the final lap. P1 for the number 24 KFC Audi R8 LMS. He's done an absolute perfect job in this race. He's kept it clean in the first half, used his shorter compulsory pit stop time to his advantage. He was stationary for 41 seconds, so it wasn't that big of an advantage that he had. He's then maintained that lead of about 5 seconds throughout this final stint. He's going to come home and win what will be his 3rd Australian GT race win. As we see a little bit further back, Peter Hackett in 6th place.
You know, no one will be happier out there at the moment than his old mate Jeff Emery, because we talk about his career in different classes. Tony Bates and Jeff used to have their own team. There's the checkered flag, and Tony Bates takes it in the KFC car, the Audi Customer Racing outfit, and that is a terrific victory for Tony Bates. Fraser Ross will come 2nd.
Narrowly from Liam Talbot. Those two really closed up in the last couple of corners, just 0.3 of a second between them at the finish. It was then Jeff Emery, Joe Robson, Peter Hackett over Mark Griffith. Nick Kelly should cross the line any moment now. There he goes. Fabulous job from Nick Kelly to finish in 8th overall, the first of the trophy class homes. A fabulous job from, wow, that was close. That was close. Ricky Capo and Scott Taylor drag race to the line. Of course, Ricky Capo a lap down, just about dropped it in front of Scott Taylor there. No harm, no foul. They both got to the line, no damage done. So that is race 2 of the weekend for the Camps Australian GT Championship. Tony Bates, our race winner. Fabulous job from the team down there. Audi over Fraser Ross, Liam Talbot, Jeff Emery, Jai Robson, Peter Hackett. So we see a couple of the GT4 cars come home. Magnificent race, battles up and down the field. 5-way scrap for third place for a time there, Daz. Magnificent racing.
Tony Bates takes the win in the Audi R8 LMS. To Fraser Ross in the McLaren 650 GT3. Liam Talbot home for Porsche. Jeff Emery next in 4th there. As I said, the old guys from Tag Motorsport, Tony and Jeff is what it was back in the day. Jai Robson home in 5th. Peter Hackett eventually home in 6th there, and I would suggest with some sort of issue there in the Mercedes, but a good race in the first stands with Peter Hackett. Mark Griffith, Nick Kelly, Matt Stupas and Scott Taylor rounding out the 10. So 3 Mercs in the 10, 4 Audis and a Porsche. Rian Agaro, the next home in 11th. John Morris, the next Porsche in the older GT3R, doing a good job there. John Marcini home for Hallmark, and then we go to Dean Koutsamidis in the REX Lamborghini that led the race up until the pit stops, and Dean had a spin down there at turn 1. Tony Quinn home in 5th. Jim Manolis, a great result there in 16th in the Whispering Vines Trofeo Estate Lamborghini. Dave Stevens, the 458 GT3 Ferrari. Ricky Capo had a spin exiting turn 4 and was left there for a little bit. Chris Seidler, Colby Cowan, Victor Zagami, Vince Tesseraro and Jan Ginadasa, Dale Patterson, and not finishing. Dale Patterson, of course, with a cooling problem. Let's have a look at the highlights.
Peter Hackett made a really good start to jump away. The field going 3 or 4 wide down there further back. Good to see they keep it clean. So easy to pick someone up and turn them around at the head of the field. So Hackett from Fraser Ross was the early part of this race. Before this happened, Ross making a big move up the inside, the penultimate corner. Gets the job done, rides the curbs nice and hard, and then starts to clear off at the front of this race.
The McLaren was good there because he did that twice after that as well during the race. Here we have Tony Quinn looking up the inside of eventual, sorry, no, it wasn't,
was Matt Stupas there in the 23 car. 2 identical cars, the 23
spinner of
and
the
24.
Ginetta. There, coming back on, here's Victor Zagami, just getting tangled up a little bit with Dave Stevens. Through goes Rio Nagaro, and there's Scotty Taylor. There goes Dale Patterson whilst he was still running. Smoke coming out of the back of the rear brakes there of John Morris, obviously leaning on them pretty hard in the Motorsport leasing Porsche. This was a little bit of a mix-up here as well. 2 McLarens having a bit of a kiss and a cuddle. Not so much of a cuddle, but a bit of a kiss, that's for sure. Coming out of that Pertec corner that time around. Here's the next time that Fraser Ross got through on someone down the inside there, and have a look at that. Liam Talbot tries to make it work as well. Here's where the Lamborghini fell off the lead, and a big hit on that rear wing of eventual race leader. So that could have been the end of the day for Tony Bates right there.
Lucky to get away with that one. Those rear wings, they're very, very strong in the direction they're meant to work. That's not the direction it's meant to work for Tony Quinn, who fires off the turn 1 backwards. Capo has a bit of a spin at turn 4 late in the race. Saw him drop off the lead lap and came home a little bit further down the field. Jan Ginadasa had a right rear puncture, toured the scenery, and eventually came to a stop on the back straight. Officials chose to leave him out there. A little bit of a clash between Mark Griffith and the Colby Cowan Mark Kane entry. Just a little bit of contact as Griffo puts him a lap down. And Bates claims his 3rd Australian GT race win in the championship standings. Liam Talbot now leads from Peter Hackett, Fraser Ross, and Peter Hackett in 2nd place on 447 points, Fraser Ross on 443. Liam Talbot, though, in control on 512 points.